Hi, my name is Anna Baker, and I am a student at Old Dominion University. This presentation will cover my reflective research paper that I created for Communication 395 and Dr. Joy Francis. So to start with, I'd like to go over the outline of how this presentation will go. I'm going to start out by talking about the journey as a whole and where I started before the class and where I ended up after the class. The second will be utilizing the GROW model. Third, setting a SMART goal. Fourth, overcoming obstacles. And then we'll talk about the fifth, which is self-discovery through design. And the sixth topic will be the coaching group experience, followed by a conclusion. So the journey. So where I started before this class, I'd actually undergone a lot of radical transformation in my own life. For example, in 2016, I was able to use self-study to progress from a remedial pre-algebra level in math all the way up to pre-calculus. This was huge because it gave me the confidence that I needed to pursue a degree in computer science at Old Dominion University. I'd always felt really insecure about my math capabilities, but that situation helped me to realize that I'm not powerless and that I can actually make really important changes in my life. Where I wanted to be when I started this class, I definitely prioritized financial stability, career progression, and personal growth. I had also adopted a dog in the previous year, which helped me to become a more balanced person. And I'd really just been going through a lot of personal transformation. So this course helped by helping me to learn how to provide structure to my goals and how to actually make a roadmap and a plan and stick to it. So utilizing the GROW model. The GROW model has four things: goal, reality, options, and will. 4 steps. So the first step is goal. I started out with a vague goal of saving money. I wanted to be able to quit my job during my senior year and go live somewhere abroad where there's a low cost of living. And so I had this vague goal, but it wasn't very specific, which is okay. So the second step is reality. So I looked at the reality of the situation and I looked at my current spending and realized that I wasn't really saving a lot of money. And I also looked at the areas that I might struggle in the future, and that helped me to figure out and accept where I was. So the third step is options. So I considered all of my options for how I could achieve my goal. I discovered that there were 2 main options. One would be increasing spending or increasing income, and the second would be decreasing spending. Or I could do a mixture of both. And the last step is will. Initially, I decided to do both and to try to decrease spending and increase income. And I decreased spending by creating a budget, and I increased income by getting a part-time job. The problem is that I already work 45 hours a week in addition to being a full-time online student. So this part-time job was just too much for me. And after the first few weeks, when speaking with someone in my peer coaching group, I realized that I needed to learn to say no and that the other part-time job was just a little too much. So later I decided to focus just on decreasing spending. Okay, so the next thing that I did in this course was I set a SMART goal. I thought that both the GROW module and the SMART goals were great. They're definitely tools that I'm going to use in the future. A SMART goal is specific, measurable, attainable, and time specific. So I made my initial vague goal of saving money more specific, and I decided that I wanted to save $20,000. And I chose that number because it would be enough for me to find a place with a low cost of living under $1,000 total per month, live there for, let's say, 6 to 9 months, and then still have a good amount of savings to get started somewhere, or, if something unexpected happened. I didn't want to set myself up for failure. I wanted to make sure I had enough money. The second step is to make it measurable. So I created a detailed budget, and I determined exactly how much I needed to save per month to stay on my target. The third step is for it to be attainable. It was pretty easy for me to determine that my goal was attainable because I had already made it measurable and created a detailed budget. I'd looked at the reality of the situation and tracked my spending. So I knew that if I could get the spending under control and follow my budget, then it would definitely be attainable. And then to make it time specific, that was cool because I had never actually heard that you should make a goal time specific before. And I definitely had a natural resistance to it because in the past, my goals have been kind of airy-fairy, like, it can change day to day. Nothing was really planned out. But this was the first time that I made it time specific, so I decided instead of just saving $20,000, I would save $20,000 by September 1st, 2018. So, overcoming obstacles. Well, as always, my greatest obstacle is usually myself. That's one of the reactions that I had when my peer group members and I were talking about it. Ultimately, my greatest obstacles are my willpower and my tendency to set unrealistic expectations. Willpower, as far as this goal goes, because this goal is financial, my willpower to, not go out with friends or not stop by the store and get some ice cream on my way home, I knew that those were problem areas for me. However, I was able to find the truth and discover a path to overcome my obstacles through a few resources. The first was my awesome peer coaching group. They were great. It was really cool to have a bunch of cheerleaders just messaging me and asking me important questions, important probing questions, and trying to get to the bottom of things. We took time practicing some of the questions in the coaching questions book, and that was really helpful too because some of the things that they asked me I hadn't really thought about before. Like we were talking about whether we'd been in a similar circumstance before and what happened in that situation. And I have actually been in a similar situation before. I used to live in Australia and I also had to save up money to leave and come back to the US. So I was able to to think back and remember what helped me to be motivated to save money in that situation. So the next step is I followed the could do, want to, will do model, which was helpful because it helped me to find more options than the ones that I had considered. We also practiced dreaming without it. That was interesting because it was awesome to visualize what my life would be like if I didn't have these obstacles, like if my willpower wasn't a problem and if I just set, realistic expectations of myself. It felt really empowering. And then the last one was brainstorming options, which helped me, similar to how the could do, want to, will do model helped. I was able to just really think about other alternatives or ways that I could approach the problem. And one thing that I discovered was that there's a financial strategy called creating a sinking fund. Basically, it allows you to add a line in your budget for unexpected expenses. So like for going out with friends or, random ice cream stops on the way home, or like, I forgot that somebody's birthday is coming up. And so that was helpful because it helped me to make sure that I'm assigning a name to every dollar in my budget. So that was great. So self-discovery through design. I worked through the values assessment, and it was interesting because so we looked at all of these value words, and there were definitely some that I felt like were speaking to me more than others. And I was able to recognize that they fit into 3 different categories. So for the words integrity and honesty, those are part of my identity. Those are qualities that are important to me as a person and who I am inside. The keywords or the values of freedom, travel, financial independence, those definitely those are my aspirations. I pretty much just want to be free and travel and have financial independence. That's what this whole goal is about. And then finally, opportunity, focus, and planning. Those values follow in the method category. So that's how I plan to achieve my aspirations. So of course there's a level of opportunity that is important when you're trying to meet your aspirations. There's a certain luck of the draw. However, focus and planning can also get you where you need to go. So all these things provided a framework for me to understand my passions and dream barriers, and it really just helped me to remember who I am. So finally, the coaching group experience. The coaching group experience was awesome. I honestly wish that we had been partnered up with our peer groups earlier in the semester because they became such a great resource for me. We had a text group and we talked all the time. In fact, we're still talking now even though our projects are over. And they were just really super supportive. I really loved engaging with them. It was awesome to have a cheerleader in your back pocket just telling you, yeah, you can do it, and asking you really hard, probing questions. I feel like I became more in touch with myself through the coaching group experience, and in addition, I became more in touch with the way other people work and how they think about their dreams and goals. So, ultimately, this class was awesome. I'm going to move on to the conclusion. It's funny because at the beginning of the semester when Dr. Joy said, this course is life-changing, I definitely didn't believe her. But I would say that I have almost tangible tools that I can take with me from this course. I will definitely be using the GROW model and SMART goals in the future. And the combination of my classes this semester really helped as well because I also took Introduction to Information Literacy and Research, which taught me how to make an outline for a research paper. So I was able to use some of those techniques and implement them into my own goals with the GROW model and the SMART goals. So I think that going forward, I have a really good head on my shoulders and I'm much more capable of achieving my goals thanks to this class. So thank you.